Welcome to the Healthy Living Revolution Live. My name is Deanna Christofferson. The Healthy Living Revolution is a movement of people who are taking healthy back, and we're offering this series to bring some people solutions and some simple education. Our speaker for this episode, which is entitled Love Your Gut, Healing a Wounded Nation, is Stacy Joy. Stacy Joy graduated from the California State University of Fullerton in 1992 with a BS degrees in both nursing and public health. She spent the next 8 years working as an emergency room level 2 trauma nurse in Santa Ana, and this was in California. A pioneer at heart, Stacy Joy is honored to be included in the first graduating class of accredited board-certified holistic nurses in the U.S. in 1994. Today, Stacy Joy is making change simple. Her slow change brand called One Little Thing is part of an international grassroots healthy living revolution. Her focus today includes reversing autoimmune disease, autism spectrum, cancer, and heart disease around the globe, focusing on one person, one family, one business, and one community at a time. A recent empty nester, Stacy Joy nurtures her independent holistic nursing practice from home in San Diego, California. As she travels the globe, spreading the message of good health among those who are ready to take healthy back, she helps you find the heal in health so you can get stuff done and have more fun. At this point, I'm going to turn it over to you, Stacy, so take it away.
Thank you, Deanna. I am so honored to be representing this company on healthylivingrevolution.com live and super excited to be bringing you this cutting edge information on and about leaky gut. And during this presentation, I will be covering 4 things. Number 1, why we are a wounded nation. Number 2, how does leaky gut develop? 3, recommended ways to heal and seal that leaky gut. And 4, success stories. So let's get started. I am very proud to be part of the Healthy Living Revolution because we need to take healthy back. Why are we so wounded? One of the reasons why is because we live in an extremely toxic planet. That toxic planet is putting toxicity into our fat cells and into our guts. And, you know, when we eat meat that has toxicity in the meat fat, it just gets into our bodies. That's where animals hold their toxicity, fish fat, meat fat. And so we get toxicity in our bodies, particularly our fat cells and particularly our gut microbiomes. I always love to talk about the gut microbiome, but I am not going to do that today. I don't have time to do that. Dr. Candace Corson, however, was featured on this HLR live episode, and it was called Feed. So you can ask the person who invited you here today to go back and find Dr. Candace Corson's presentation on the gut microbiome. So what are the big 4? These are the things that are breaking us down. Okay, the big 4, modern ag and big pharma. So what happens is these things damage the intestines. I'm going to go into the pathophysiology in just a minute, but what are they? They're the pharmaceutical industry. Antibiotics will wipe out the gut flora and include vaccinations in there. A little bit controversial, but I throw it all in there. Bottom right corner, we have a industrialized animal food production in this country that is causing havoc in our guts. Bottom left corner, the entire SAD or standard American diet is loaded with things like glyphosate from Roundup spraying pesticides, dioxin, endocrine disruptive plastics and hormones. All these things are taking a toll on us as a nation and now as a globe. The societies that enter the standard American diet into their food supply are now breaking down with westernized diseases. And then on the top left, this is kind of a new revelation that the wheat industry is pouring a lot of glyphosate all over the crops before they're being harvested. So even if you do not have a gluten sensitivity or you're eating organic wheat, you still are battling with the glyphosate that is sprayed all over it. And this wipes out the gut microbiome and gut bacteria, interrupts the Shikimadi pathway in the plants, and it just causes a lot of disruption. Well, those are the big four. Now for the pathophysiology behind leaky gut. This is really important for you to understand because this is the foundation of many of the diseases. I don't call them diseases. I don't like diagnoses. I call them dis-ease. This is the foundation of much of our inflammation and particularly our autoimmune spectrum diseases. So we have a lumen here on the top, a lumen of the small intestine. That's the circle of the small intestine. If you blow it up, you see the big diagram on the bottom. You see these little fingers like this on the top of these cells. These cells are lining the mucous membrane of our intestines. And you have those little fingers, they're called villi, and they move like this, and they move all the stuff through and keeps the food and the particles moving forward in the intestinal tract. Well, when we have leaky gut and we have a disruption in our bacteria and the other microorganisms in our intestines, those villi will freeze, and they just stand still and they freeze. And on top of that, you have those three straps, I call them leather straps, that are the junctions between those cells, holding those cells tightly in place. When we damage our intestines and we're exposed to those big four over a period of time, particularly younger in life, earlier in life, or more susceptible, those leather straps and those junctions start to break apart and the cells start to separate apart, making your intestines permeable and leaky, we call it. And those food particles, mostly small little small little protein molecules, and the bacteria and other pathogens, they leak through our intestines, through those spaces in those cells, into the abdominal space and into the bloodstream. And when that happens, you have this full-on inflammatory response, and our immune system goes nuts. It goes hyperactive and haywire because we have cells that are made to handle these quote-unquote foreign invaders. So your immune system gets really out of whack, and then you start suffering with things like inflammatory bowel. You start suffering from things that are autoimmune. That means your immune system is so jacked up that it turns against you, and you have auto, meaning self, immune destruction. And this is what some of those things look like. These are some of the autoimmune and inflammatory consequences of living an acidic and standard American lifestyle. We have to start making some changes, and that's why we're taking Healthy Back, so that we can handle some of these crazy things that are going on in our bodies as a result of all of this immune hyperactivity. Look at all of these autoimmune diseases. This is not acceptable. I can't accept this. And so I'm part of that grassroots movement to take Healthy Back so that we don't have to deal with all of these diseases. So how do we heal and seal the leaky gut? Well, it's really about going back to the basics of lifestyle. That's what this movement is about, is going back to the basics. It's about moving your body regularly and consistently. It's about sleeping, because when we're in deep REM sleep and we get a lot of it, that's when the human growth hormone comes out and starts to heal us up in the middle of the night. So we need lots and lots of sleep. It's about drinking enough water to keep your urine clear, because when you drink all that water, you're feeding your liver the amount of water that it needs to convert toxicity out of the cells, and it bathes your cells, and it keeps all of those cells moist and doing the things that they're supposed to be doing. If we're dehydrated, we cannot function properly. This is also about balancing your pH. You want to have an alkaline environment. pH is simply hydrogen ions, the concentration of hydrogen ions. We need to have a pH above 7.0. So 7.0 is neutral. If we're above that, we're alkaline. Cancer won't grow in alkaline. Microorganisms won't replicate in an alkaline environment. Inflammation will go down in an alkaline environment. So all you have to do is pee on these little strips or these tapes about 3 or 4 or 5 times a day. Start associating alkaline or an acidic environment with what kinds of foods you're consuming. If it's below 7.0, you're acid. And in an acid environment, you're going to be inflamed. You're going to have pain. You're going to have itises, maybe some diagnoses. Organisms are going to replicate. Cancer will grow great in an acid environment. How do you get alkaline? Plants. How do you get acid? Everything else. Coffee, alcohol, white foods, dairy, animal foods, all those things. Coffee, all make you acid. So let's keep alkaline bodies going. What else? Fermented foods. They're like superfoods to those microbiome, to those bacteria in your gut. Sauerkraut, kimchi, tempeh, pickling, bone broth, all these things will heal and seal up your gut and will feed the good bacteria and kill off the bad guys. But it's mostly about eating plants, lots and lots of plants. We rust as a consequence of metabolizing our food and being exposed to toxins. We rust, and that's because we have a lot of free radical electrons roaming around our bodies. Plants will donate their electrons to us, neutralizing that rust and slowing down the aging process and eliminating inflammation. So we need lots and lots of plants. We need at least 7 to 13 servings a day. If you want to detox and you want to turn around a disease, double that. We'll need 15 to 25 servings a day. Are you getting that many servings of fruits and vegetables? Nobody really is. We can't do that. It's, we don't have 4 stomachs. We're not cows. We're not out to pasture just eating vegetables all day long. We're humans that are living human lives. So we have to find a way to get as many plants into our bodies as possible. I don't care how you get them in there. You can put them in an IV. You can eat them in capsules. Eat them raw is always best. Put them in your bum. I don't care how you get them into your body. Just get as many in as you possibly can. And I have some really good news for you. There's a better way to bridge that gap between what you need and what you're actually getting. And this is the Juice Plus product line came across my desk about 16 years ago. And this Juice Plus product line has a micronutritional content and a macronutritional content. And the produce is grown all over the world, vine ripened in organic soil, non-GMO, certifiably, gluten-free. And you have garden, orchard, and vineyard capsules that have about 30 different fruits and vegetables, grapes and berries and grains in them, juiced out and put into capsules and soft chews in concentrated powder form. They also have an omega blend that skipped the fish, went right to 6 different plants, extracted 6 different kinds of oils out of those plants, put into omegas 3, 5, 6, 7, and 9, a 5-spread omega blend, which is absolutely phenomenal. And the macronutrition is a combination of chocolate and vanilla smoothie powder mix made of all this whole goodness, whole food greatness, and ancient grains, about 130 calories and 8 grams of fiber, about 13 grams of protein, really, really great snack and meal. And then a bar, honey cherry and chocolate fig bars with a similar protein content and makeup as the powder. So this is the consumable product line. I've been a raving fan of this for many, many years, 16 years as they come out. And I highly recommend this as the foundation of any health transformational program and maintenance. This is the foundation. So if you start with this, everything else becomes easier because you're building the blocks as you need to build them. But Juice Plus is not about treating any specific condition or disease. It's just really good nutrition, highly concentrated, affordable, convenient. Everything costs about $2 to take. A bar is about $2. A shake is about $2, and a daily dose is about $2 of capsules. So, and scientifically proven, which is why I absolutely love these capsules. It's why I, as a healthcare professional, will hang my hat on this product because of the science. And I don't have any one particular study that I love more than any other study, but what I love is the totality of this science, the accumulation, the big body of science. We know that 18 different studies show that it actually gets absorbed into the body. That's amazing. And about 12 different studies show that it reduces and eliminates that oxidation that I was talking about, that rusting goes away and goes down. Systemic inflammation goes down. The immune system is balanced, and your DNA is protected, which means that we're handing better DNA material to our offspring, and also it lengthens the shelf life of the cell before it dies out. That's the DNA story. Improves insulin resistance, so the insulin is able to get sugar into the cell, lowering insulin levels. This is pre-diabetes research. Pulmonary function gets better in smokers and non-smokers, and cardiovascular wellness, when the vessels want to clamp down and you can throw clots and get a heart attack or stroke, the vessels stay open and dilated, so you don't have that high blood pressure pushing clots through. Cardiovascular wellness is super important because heart disease and heart attacks are the #1 killer in this country. Supports healthy skin and gums. Also positively affects over 1,600 tested genes. That is mind-blowing. I don't even know. I can barely wrap my brain around that piece, but this is just some of the science behind Juice Plus. Really great news coming soon is showing research showing how Juice Plus products positively affect permeable intestines, which is exactly what we're talking about today. So be on the lookout for that published study coming up soon. So what I wanted to do at this point is share my story with you. My story begins 16 years ago when my 3 kiddos here, Joe, Mark, and Rose, they were eating the standard American diet on the left-hand portion of this screen. We were at a Mother's Day picnic or something, and my parents were obviously there because they had cake and cupcakes and sodas and all that standard American fodder that makes us so sick. The GMO food supply was introduced into our diets in the middle of the 1990s. That's when they were born, 94, 96, and 98. They had leaky gut, like nobody's business. My oldest on the left had an asthma inhaler because he had reactive airway disease from a small child, and he had that puff albuterol. They all had ear infections all over the place. My daughter had colds and flus a lot. My guy on the right is, he was slightly vaccination damaged, but he also had leaky gut. He had eczema, and he had Epstein-Barr virus, and he would get pneumonia, and he had cognitive damage and things like that. So they were pretty leaky kids, and I was constantly putting them on antibiotics and running them to the doctors. My husband had candida, which is yeast and directly affected by leaky gut. And I had energy that died every afternoon at about 2 o'clock in the afternoon. And I had 10 pounds of baby weight that I could not take off. So Nancy, the nurse, shared it with me, and she assured me that it was backed by research and that it was whole food and not vitamins, because I do not do vitamins. They are proven to be ineffective and in many cases harmful. So I do not do those. So she said, yeah, this is whole food based and it has lots of research. So I read the research, fell in love with it immediately, listened to 2 cassette tapes at the time, which makes me feel really old. Some of the people on this that are listening to this don't even know what cassette tapes are, probably. But after putting them on the soft chews, my husband and I taking the capsules and everybody drinking a complete smoothie every day, after 4 months, I lost the 10 pounds of baby weight. I had consistent high energy every single day, all day long. And my husband's candida went back into normal range and started feeding the good guys in his microbiome. And the kids completely transformed. Leaky gut went away. So no more colds and flus, asthma inhaler in the trash, eczema gone, ear infections no longer needed antibiotics, and then just whittled away. And they were well children. It took me about 15 years to heal the little guy on the right because he was a little more complicated in his health story. But once he healed up, great news. He is now on the dean's list at San Diego State University and is playing D1 football for them. So there's always hope for healing the body. Yes, he has to deal with Epstein-Barr and that he has to keep his immune system really high and strong. But my family completely healed up with the Juice Plus product line, and it began to snowball our health habits in the right direction. So that is very, very good news for everyone. So I just wanted to just say that your healthcare really is you. We don't know what's happening with our healthcare system right now. We're kind of in a state of flux, but you can go down one path or you can go down another path, and every choice that you make will affect your overall health. So what kinds of choices are you making every day? It may not affect you if you eat a bunch of broccoli. It may not affect you tomorrow, but it will absolutely affect you beyond that in the years to come, cumulatively by the health habits that we choose to make. So that's what I have for you today. Thank you, Deanna, for hosting me today on this HLR Live.
This was amazing, Stacy. What I love the most is how Juice Plus showed up in your family's life and how much you guys recovered. And the story is incredible that I think a lot of family members, parents, people listening to this call can really relate to. And just so much incredible information you shared with us in regards to the leaky gut. And, you know, both Stacy and I would like to encourage you to get back to the person who invited you to view this webinar so that you can learn more about how you can take your health back and live a healthy, full, and productive life. Thank you again, Stacy, and thank you all for joining us. Have a great day.